Well, hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Julia Royston of BK Royston Publishing, Royal Media and Publishing, and the Book Business Boss is helping you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth, and be a book business boss. So, the BK Royston Publishing authors are going to be once again this year at Gaslight Festival. So, I know there are some of you that be like, what in the world? Why is she talking about something local when we're literally can be around the world? Well, the reason why I say this for multiple reasons. One, I want to invite the local Louisville, Kentucky, or surrounding areas to Gaslight Festival. So if you're in Louisville, if you're in Southern Indiana, E Town, as far as Bowling Green, I don't care how far you are, J Town, headed toward Lexington. If you can get to Jeffersontown, Kentucky, it's right there off of Taylorsville Road and 64 in the suburbs of Louisville, Kentucky, meet us at Gaslight Festival. And the second main reason why you don't have to come to Gaslight Festival to support these authors, you can purchase their books online, communicate with them via email, and support their books, ask them questions, have them speak on other podcasts, have them come and do book signings. So, I got you covered. I got the local audience regionally, internationally, and literally around the world. So, I'm going to start this process off because I am super excited to bring you that's really going to kind of be released at Gaslight. I've kind of been teasing it on Facebook quite a bit, but it is book 4 to Terrence the Terrific series. Now, everything else is already packed up and stored away. So I still have my, oh, let me get the light right. Okay, here we go. So you can see it. So those that are in video, this is book number 4, Terrence the Terrific, The Need for Speed. Now, as you well know, this is book 83. So I've written 86 books, but I've only published 83. The other 3 are in the illustrators. So this is book 83, and I have some other new stuff that's going to be coming out soon. But just want to talk just a second about Terrence the Terrific. So one of the main reasons Terrence is, of course, if you're looking at it via video, and welcome in if you are, he is the boy in the middle. And so I even though I never had a brother, never had any biological children, I just know as a publisher and as an author how important it is for representation, especially for African American children. So I wanted a team, a group to come together for kind of they're superheroes. They got all of them have superpowers and all that good stuff. So I wanted representation because whether you know it or not, in children's books, the representation of African Americans is only 11%, 26% for the animals, which they're cute. I get that. But, and then 55% is for Caucasian or white children with the main character. So I wanted something that, represented the African American community so they could have representation. So the Need for Speed is book 4 in the series. There is a new character added. The first one, of course, is Terrence in the middle, and then his bestie, which is Paris. And then they have a new friend who just moved into the neighborhood. His name is Lance. So I'm not going to do a spoiler alert and tell you all what actually happens and all that good stuff, but you can imagine it's an adventure. Terrence the Terrific, the whole entire series is designed for now I've had as young as second graders read it because there's some high fly second graders out there. Oh yes, Miss Royston, I read chapter books. I said, you sure? Open it up, see all in words, and they're like, oh, that's a piece of cake. So I usually don't like to box them in to age groups, but it's really designed for intermediate, like third up. But I've had some young second graders that were some high flyers that enjoy the series as well. So Terrence the Terrific book 4 is getting ready to head off on tour. And the first stop is Gaslight Festival, because I know some people have book 1, 2, and 3, and they're like, when does book 4 come out? When does book 4 come out? Well, meet Terrence, the Need for Speed, and you're going to find out why he needs speed. Hello. in book number 4 there at Gaslight Festival. So it begins September 15th through the 17th. If you wish to purchase any of my books, go to juliaakroyston.com. That's got all my websites. That's got all of my online stores, children's bookstores, all that good stuff. So if you say, I can't get to Gaslight Festival, I'm not coming to Louisville, good, that's fine. I'll be happy to put one in the mail or the whole series in the mail to you. So visit Julia, and there is 2 A's, and it's on purpose. Julia A.K. Royston, Royst. So I have some other authors with me this evening. I'm super excited for to have them with us. They will be at Gaslight Festival as well. And be sure and look for us. Now, let me just tell you before we get started with them telling us about their books is we're in on the Billtown Road entrance. So be looking for us. It's on the like J-Town's main street, but we're nearest the Billtown Road exits entrance. So that's the entrance where the kids playground is and all the jumpies are. Oh yeah, I'm in a great spot. Yeah, thank you, Gaslight Festival. So look for us at booth 127 and 129. And no, they're not across from each other. There are 2 booths side by side. The emails have reassured me of that. They're like, if you have a double booth, don't worry that the even number is missing in the middle. Like, why is 127 and 129? Because the even numbers are on the right hand side, on the left hand side of the street, and the odd numbers on the right. Yeah. And if you come the opposite way, you go the opposite direction. So 127 and 129, please come and meet us. And yes, we take all forms of payment: cash, credit card, Venmo, Zelle. Yeah, we ready for you. Cash out, we ready for you. Come on down and support the BK Royston Publishing authors at booth 127 through 129. All right, let's see who's gonna go first. Okay, I'm going to have Miss Jeanette Norris go first. And I want her to introduce herself, tell us where she's from. And she is going to be contacted via email. So that is her email address. So you can make a note of that, communicate with her if you wish to purchase her book. I want her to introduce herself, tell us where she's from, tell us about her book. Take it away.
My name is Jeanette Norris. I'm originally from Miami, Florida, and I moved from Atlanta 20 years ago to Louisville, Kentucky. The name of my book is Mom and Dad, A Memory Revisited. It's a story about my parents. I think they are wonderful, wonderful people. They raised my brothers and sisters. There's 4 of us. I'm the oldest, and I'm just so excited to tell their story. I really am. So please email me, contact me. I can get the book to you. Come down if you can to Gaslight. It's wonderful. I've gone every year. This is my 20th year going. I have gone all the time. So it's wonderful. It's a good place to be on a Saturday or Friday or a Sunday. So come on down, come take a look at my book, and you won't forget it. You will really enjoy it. I know you will. Thank you so much for having me to have talked to you about my book.
Awesome. So and we're looking for great weather this weekend too. They are predicting some excellent weather. So when good weather, there's always tons of people crowded and everything. So Miss Jeanette, let me ask you, so how long did it take you to put the story to put the story down on paper?
It took me 2 years. Off
2
and
years,
on, I
okay.
would just write down a few things on the weekend, at night, early in the morning, and just jot down some things. So about 2 years.
And that's what I tell people all the time. They were like, "Oh, I don't have time." Well, you make time for what you want to do. So, and doing that is really, especially those of us who, whether you have children or not, whether you have a full-time job or not, that's the way we do it. We jot down notes. We open up. Here's my spiral notebook. It's right here on my desk. You write down ideas. You write down notes. And so, if you're really serious about it, those little notes can turn into books. Those pieces of paper that I don't know, I've written on napkins, I've written on towel paper, I've written on the back of bills, I've written on all types of things. I've recorded in my phone and recorded to my house phone. And my husband's like, "Do you want that? Don't delete it. Don't delete it." I do all of that. So, but yeah, that and a memoir of such or telling your personal life story, that usually takes a year or two. That's not one of those. That's not a children's book story. A children's book story can take a week or a day or so, just all depends. But a memoir of that magnitude and covering a span of time and all of that, that does take about a year or two in which to do it. So please reach out to Miss Jeanette Norris. There's her email, Jeanette, JeanetteNorris 96 at yahoo.com, and email her regarding her book. You can buy it on Amazon, but I prefer you buy it directly from the author because they're able to sign it and they're able to communicate with you just in case they do book 2, 3, 4. You know how that goes. If they do more books. But thank you so much for joining me. And Miss Jeanette Norris will be at Gaslight all weekend. So, and she'll have somebody taking care of her books all weekend long. We work together as a team. Everybody at the tent, we support each other. So be sure and stop by and say, I'm looking for the book, mom and dad, y'all was talking about the other night. We got you covered. Thank you so much, dear.
Thank you.
So next up is Dr. Julie Richards. Hello, darling. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Introduce yourself formally and tell us about your book and really why you wrote it, because yours was a quite an undertaking. So go ahead and talk about your book.
All right. Well, this is my book, and the title is Memoirs and Mementos of African Americans in Jeffersontown, Kentucky, in the 1940s and 50s. So I'm sure you can imagine how excited I am to be selling my book about Jeffersontown in Jeffersontown this weekend. I put a special order in about a week and a half ago. It is here, and I'm looking forward to selling those books. So I'll give you a little bit of information about it. It's about people, African American people, African American families of people. It's about how the community of African Americans, their institutions, their where they lived, what they did, what they participated in, how they backed up the economy of Jeffersontown. And it is vitally important to me that people know that not only did they live there, but they took responsibility. The people in the 40s and 50s took responsibility for their institutions, for their businesses, for each other even. So I've identified these people, first of all, by name and by where they lived in the community. Because sometimes there's the thinking that all of the African Americans live in one area. And that was not the case in Jeffersontown. Additionally, after name and location of where they lived, I deal with their lifestyles. And so it might be amazing to some people or surprising to some people to learn that their lifestyles were quite interesting and their contributions to both Jeffersontown, the state, and the nation, were some of them were just outstanding. Things you would not think that African Americans from a small town outside of Louisville were contributing, but they did contribute those. And so those are identified. I also deal with their community involvement. And of course, that includes their involvement in the churches, in the schools, with their businesses. I don't want to tell you too much, but anyhow, they were also involved in fraternal organizations. There were 2 fraternal organizations in Jeffersontown that were African American. They were lodges. So I try to give the reader a full view of who they were and what they were like and what they did. It is important to me that the word gets out, that people know that, because there isn't, in fact, an African American community in Jeffersontown now. There are loads of African American people, but the cohesive community that existed then does not exist. And that was the basis for my having written this book, was so that there would be a permanent record of the people and the community, since the community itself doesn't exist. I think those are the key things. The other thing is, I'm really looking forward to seeing anyone and everyone who would like a little insight about what it was like in the 40s and 50s there. So I'm looking forward to selling these books to the people who are interested. It's an easy read on purpose. There are not a lot of pages, and it was written at a level so that school children can read it. Adults can read it in a day or a day and a night or something of that sort. And so I welcome you to stop by our booths at 127 and 129, and we'll be looking for you.
Yes, ma'am. We'll definitely be looking for everyone. And now I want to invite any of those, because there's a major section in there concerning First Baptist of J-Town. So if you are having any connections to that church at all, because I went to Eastern High School, and at Eastern there was a huge population of students there who attended First Baptist of J-Town. So you got to get this book so you can see your grandparents and mama and daddy and the little children. You're gonna be able to pick them out. And then because the students I went to school with, they thought Reverend Coleman, he walked on water. I mean, literally, they all loved him. So there's a huge we all loved him too. I mean, I attended J-Town, but I wasn't a member there. But every time I've seen him in the street before he passed away, I was like, "Ooh, there he is!" So it was always a pleasure, and he just always was a wonderful, fun, and jovial person to meet and see. Even if he remembered your name or not, he always was extremely friendly. And we saw him a lot in the Cracker Barrel. Always eating there. So if you had any connection with J-Town at all, if your family lived there, if your friends live there, if your grandparents live there, or anyone in that community, this will take you down memory lane. It will definitely is a keepsake item that you should have and that you should share, because we can't correct our future unless we know what our history is. And this is a very stable community, very thriving community. And of course, it looked different than it was in the 40s and 50s. And you got to know who blood, sweat, and tears that created it, built it, helped revise it, helped keep it going, especially for the African American community that's there now. They need to know, how did you get here? How were you able to be here? Because the 40s and 50s were not such a safe time, a great time, necessarily respected time for African Americans. So, we stand on the shoulders of those who sacrificed, and not only sacrificed, but also risk a lot to so that we have the comforts to live in any house we want to live in, and that our money will allow us to afford a car, etc. So that a book is very, very special, and I enjoyed helping put it together as well. It was a labor of love, clearly, from Dr. Richards, because that was a quite undertaking. All those pictures, getting permissions, making sure the correct names are there, and special salute to her daughters for being on site and on duty as well to support their mom in this undertaking. And then after we got to talking a while, I realized that Dr. Richards went to school with my dad. So Lincoln is represented in here. And so if you're a Lincoln alum, If you know someone who's connected to Lincoln Institute, that was the training ground, and that's probably a whole nother book for Dr. Richards to write. But that is the training ground for African Americans in Jefferson, Shelby County, Henry County, Oldham County. That's where they all went to school, and some lived on post because my aunts, I think they actually lived there, and then some were bused back and forth. So there's a great heritage, great history there. So if you are interested in history or you want to know, be sure and stop by booth 127, 129 and see Dr. Richards. To email her, go to drjfrich at AOL.com. That's drjfrich at AOL.com. So reach out to Dr. Richards and stop by booth 127 and 129 to pick up your copy of her incredible Labor of Love Memoirs and Mementos book. Yay! So up next, Miss Peggy Dixon. Take it away, darling.
Oh, well, welcome. Thank you, Julia, for having me again. Dr. Richards, it's a pleasure that I'm going to be able to meet you and have a conversation with you. I look so forward to seeing you this weekend. And Miss Norris, I look forward to meeting you as well. I'm here to talk about my book, so let's get started on that. But Julia, I do need to share this with you. While in Virginia, I was I think I was at, where was that? I think I went into Ross in Virginia, saw a young boy in a wheelchair, saw his mother. I wasn't sure whether it's mother or grandmother, but I saw a woman with him. And I asked the lady, I said, "Excuse me, can I say something to you without offending you?" She said, "Well, yes. Why, yes." I said, "He needs to write a book. He needs to write his story." And then I gave her your information. So hopefully they will get in touch with you. The young man's in a wheelchair. We didn't go into why he was in a wheelchair,
yeah.
but she did indicate that he was sick, and evidently this wheelchair would be his lifestyle until he was healed. But I just felt, I mean, I didn't even know them. I was just in the aisle, walked away, and then walked back. So you can tell that you have an impact on many authors, that we do go around and spread your name and try to make sure people know that you're out there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So I'm Peggy Dixon. I am here in Louisville by way of Lexington, coming through Lexington. And I have two books. The first book that I wrote is called Meatloaf and Marriage. What do they have in common? And that always catches people's attention. In fact, it's a book drawer. It draws people to the table. So ladies, your book will be drawn to the table probably just because this is setting up right. And I'm not bragging about it, but Julia will tell you it does.
Oh Lord, yes.
People's eyes.
Meatloaf, what?
Meatloaf and Marriage. And Julia didn't publish this book, but Julia's really made sure that I make sure that this book is out there to the public. And my husband and I, we have now been married since this past August the 10th, 49 years. And I thank God for that. That wasn't our own doing. But there are three major things that I say that in this book that make up Meatloaf and Marriage. And that's commitment, communication. And most people know that's what you need in a marriage is commitment and communication. But the third thing is, for me, is guarding your marriage. You have to learn how to guard your marriage against a lot of things that would try to come in and separate and tear you apart. So I won't share much more than that on this, but be looking for this at booth 127 and booth 129. And then the one that Julia did publish is You Are the Legacy, A Generational Tree. And this book, and what I usually tell people to do when I'm sharing with them is ask them to point to themselves. So I'm going to ask you as a listening audience, viewing audience, would you please just point to yourself for a second? Just point to yourself. And I want to say to you that at the time of writing this book, there was an estimated 9 billion living trees in the world. you and I are those living trees, and
Mm.
we therefore have a legacy to pass on. So this book is about a young tree who has surfaced from the womb of the earth, found himself in a place that's lighted. He doesn't know how he's going to make it. He needs someone to help navigate him in life. And he finds an old tree. And both of them learn, old tree has a name that the young tree learns, and young tree gets a new name. But you'll have to read the book to find out what their names are, because I'm not going to spoil it either. But will say to you that even in my book, there are pages that you can journal. And what I say is, you may not remember everything that I say to you, but if you write it down, I'll always have it. So that's pretty much what my book is all about. It's transformational, it's multicultural, multi-generational. I've used this book with high schoolers. I've used this book with elementary. Adults have talked with me, age. So it's just a great book about us as trees and the seasons of life we go through. And you can,
Excellent.
huh?
I said excellent. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, and you can find me at peggybrucedixon@gmail.com. You can also go to solo.to Peggy B. Dixon, and you can find me also there. And of course, you can get it on Amazon. But like Julia said, we don't want you to go to Amazon. We want you to come so we can sign it in person. And what they say about me, my family says it. Now Julia knows it true. I pretty much write a book when I sign a book. And they're like, can you speed this up? I was like, I write what I feel to the person. So I'll be looking forward to meeting all of you in Lexington coming down, and all in J-Town, and all in Louisville and Indiana, and wherever you just happen to be and hearing this. Just take a day off and drive on down and meet some new people. I promise you, you'll enjoy yourself.
You will. You will. It's a wonderful thing. Be sure and write down all of these authors. Stop by 127 Miss Peggy Dixon. Reach out to her at peggybrucedixon@gmail.com. Dr. Richards is DRJFRICH at AOL.com. And Miss Jeanette Norris is at Jeanette Norris 96 at yahoo.com. So I am super excited. And those of you who find this video, be sure and share it, and let people know. Hashtag replay as well, and let people know. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can support these authors, purchase their books. It's that time of the year. I know it's September, but people start buying Christmas presents. That's one of the main things that they do at Gaslight Festival. So they provide all type of crafts, all type of food, everything is there. So be sure and stop by, purchase books, purchase not just 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and share them with your loved ones throughout the holiday season. So I'm Dr. Julia Royston, thanking you all for your attention this evening, or whenever you watch this video. Praying today, tomorrow, and always that you live your best life. You meet us at Gaslight Festival, September 15th through the 17th, right there in Jeffersontown, Kentucky, at booth 127 and 129. Be blessed. Good night.
Good night.
Right.